Our review of critical sectors of the country continues, and tonight we focus on the judiciary. Issues of perception and trust appear to trail the judiciary in the year 2017, especially with the allegations of corruptions made against some of the judges and senior lawyers. Our judiciary correspondent Shola Shoele has this report.
The year 2017 can be described as a very eventful and somewhat controversial year for the Nigerian judiciary. 2016 ended with an acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. This issue and the raid by the men of the Department of State Services (DSS) on the residence of some judicial officers between October 7 and 9, which led to their arrest and subsequent suspension from the bench by the National Judicial Council (NJC), continued to form major talking points throughout year 2017. The NJC had recommended the appointment of Justice Walter Onogen as the CJN after the retirement of Honorable Justice Mahmood Mohammed on November 10, 2016. But President Muhammadu Buhari chose to appoint him in an acting capacity. These generated a lot of controversy, which was finally laid to rest in March 2017, when the then acting president of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, swore in Justice Onogen as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. The raid on judges and the subsequent suspension of 8 sitting judges assumed a new twist on the 1st of June 2017, when the NJC recalled 6 of the suspended judges. The NJC, chaired by Justice Onogen, had argued that 8 months after they were suspended over allegations of corruption, only 3 of the judges, Justice Sylvester Nguta of the Supreme Court, Justice Rita Ophelia Jumogbobia, and Justice Adeniyi Ademola, both of the Federal High Court, were arraigned in court. Of those who stood trial, only Justice Ademola's case has been concluded, as he was acquitted and discharged of the criminal charges made against him. Only recently, however, he was compulsorily retired by the NJC over allegations of official misconduct. The decision of the NJC to recall the 6 judges, however, appeared to serve as a wake-up call for the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN. Through the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on June 13, he arraigned Justice Ngajuwa before the Lagos State High Court, and on July 11, Justice Fishim was also docked before the same court. But the prosecution of these 7 judges appears to have been halted for now, because on December 11, following an appeal filed by Justice Ngajuwa challenging the validity of his trial, the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal, presided over by Justice Abimbola Adejumo Obaseki, dismissed the 14-count charge made against the judge.
If you want a particular judge to be removed for impropriety or for corrupt enrichment, and you have the facts, you kickstart the process by raising a petition to the National Judicial Council, which has the power to first look at what you have presented.
The NJC is really not a regular court of law. So when you now have charges against judges, you then begin to wonder why they should be taken to the NJC and not the regular courts.
In the courtrooms, the judges were also very busy. One of the biggest cases the courts resolved in the course of the year is the People's Democratic Party leadership crisis case between the Senator Ahmed Makafi-led Caretaker Committee and the Senator Ali Modu Sharif-led Executive. The trial of the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, over allegations of false asset declaration took a dramatic twist on December 12, when Justice Tinuade Akomolafe Wilson of the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja struck out 15 of the 18 counts charged filed against him by the federal government and ordered the Code of Conduct Tribunal to conduct a fresh trial of the Senate President on 3 of the charges. The tribunal had earlier in the year cleared him of all charges. However, in spite of these efforts and others made by the EFCC and other agencies with power to prosecute criminal cases, the problem of delay in the process of justice delivery remains largely unresolved. 2018 brings renewed hope that more cases, especially the high-profile ones, will be speedily resolved. Nigerians also expect that the judiciary will completely purge itself of the few bad eggs in its midst so that it can continue to dispense justice freely and fairly. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
To discuss more about the bar and the bench in 2017, we're being joined on the news at 10 by legal practitioner Mr. George Okunsanya. You're welcome and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Melinda. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Now, the judiciary is clearly very important in any society, but in Nigeria, would you say the third arm of government has lived up to the billing?
Well, yes, I would. It depends on what you set the bar at. The judiciary, as you said, is the third arm of government, but in a democratic setting, the judiciary is the most important arm of government. Because one of the indices of a democratic state is an independent judiciary, because they are expected to be above board. You have politicians who run the executive arm of government and the legislative branch, but those who you put in the temple of justice are supposed to be impartial. They're not going to side with the politicians. They're not going to side with the non-politicians. They are supposed to maintain a middle course. And given the constraints under which Nigerian judiciary operates, I'd say they've lived up.
Even with all the issues of trust, you know, the arrest, the raid on the judges, and some lawyers were also implicated as well, do you think Nigerians still trust the third arm of government? Well,
in law, we say justice needs to be done, and it needs to be seen to be done. The question about an independent judiciary really is a duty on all of us. The executive branch has a role to play, the legislative branch has a role to play, civil society, the media, the man on the street, because it's in our collective interest that we have an independent judiciary. In fact, it's more in the interest of the administration to have an independent judiciary. Once your judiciary is perceived as not being independent, then you're in trouble. And that's the challenge we have. There's a difference between the judiciary we have and how the judiciary is perceived. Part of that is because some of the politicians really, they don't want people to have an interest in the judiciary. They don't want confidence in the judiciary to be like, you know, made manifest as it is. But if you move closer to those who operate under those conditions, they're really doing a great job. I would say that.
What about the issues of delay in the dispensation of justice? What do you think is responsible for that, and how can it be tackled?
The number one reason for delay in the dispensation of justice in Nigeria is lack of manpower. You just don't have enough courts. You don't have enough judges. That's the truth. You say Lagos is what, 20 million? Lagos State has less than 100 judges. I think that about 60 or 70 judges. How do you equate that with like 20 million population? And for our level of development, we are still going to courts because Nigeria is a developing society. So the courts really have a role to play to strengthen our institutions. We don't have those institutions already. You need the judges to really interpret the laws, let everybody know how things are meant to be done according to the law. We got into this system in 1999. So we really need a lot of manpower in there. As long as you don't have enough judges, there will always be delay. A judge in Lagos State said in open court this year that his court has 800 files. Even if he has the brain of an Einstein, there's no way your cases in that court are going to be delayed. If he reads one file a day, that's more than 2 years to tackle. So definitely delay. The system right now is set in such a way that there will be delay. The first thing to do if you want to tackle the problem of delay, appoint more judges.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. George Okunsanya, for speaking with us. He's a legal practitioner.
My pleasure.
Businesses are closed for the holiday, and will be telling us about that and other stories on Business News. Anne?
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Melinda, and Merry Christmas, everyone. The Southwest Chairman of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Tayo Aboyeji, says there is massive loading of petrol at different depots in Lagos. Well, according to him, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation is making use of tank farms belonging to the Major Marketers Association of Nigeria to distribute petrol. Mr. Aboyeji has also given assurance that the current fuel scarcity will end in the next few days as the products are now available for pickup. by tanker drivers. The president of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators, Mr. Aminu Gwadabe, says that the Naira has maintained its stability at the foreign exchange market within the last 6 months. Mr. Gwadabe attributes the stability of the local currency to the number of factors, including the weekly dollar intervention by the central bank, favorable relationship between the financial regulator and BDC operators, elimination of capital flight through market surveillance, and reduction in the cost of importation. He commends the central bank's efforts in making forex accessible to end users. He also advocates fiscal discipline to sustain the Naira stability in 2018. The Nigeria stock market closed for the Christmas holiday up by 0.22% after 2 sessions of profit-taking and recovery in 3 sessions. 4 key sectors of the NSE also closed positive, while sell-offs pulled the consumer goods sector back by 1.37%. When you compare it with last week, the market recorded a higher total turnover of 2.24 billion shares, traded for 139.78 billion naira in 18,466 transactions. Our stocks in the financial services, the industrial goods and the conglomerates industry had the most volume, while the shares of Transcorp, Dangote Cement and ICO Group were the most actively traded equities for the week. The stock market is closed for the Christmas and the Boxing Day, but it will resume trading again on December the 27th. And that's business news for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Wilder. Once again, Merry Christmas.
You first. First Bank.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Anne. And to tell us what's happening in the world of sports, let's join Baron Tony Ranta. Merry Christmas, Baron. This is a compliment of the season.
Thank you, Melinda, and Merry Christmas to you all. Welcome to Sports News. Niger Tornadoes have signed some Nigerian junior internationals, Olufemi Oladapo and Solomon Owelu, ahead of the 2017-18 Nigeria Professional Football League season. Oladapo joined the Mina club from Enyimba, while Owelu linked up with them from Kwara United. Other key signings are Ghanaian forward Eric Frimpong, Horai from Enyimba, Jafet Daniel, Shegun Olebioshi from El Kanemi Warriors and Kwara United. The 2017 Ito Cup finalists will open their MPFL new season campaign away to Kwara United in Ilorin. And elsewhere, Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Vitaly Mutko is stepping down from his post as head of the country's football federation as a temporary measure amid pressure over allegations of systematic doping. The 59-year-old will be handing over to the leadership of the federation for 6 months to Alexander Aliyev, but remains chief organizer of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Mutko has reportedly been under pressure from football governing body FIFA to resign over doping allegations. Allegations of widespread abuse of performance-enhancing drugs among Russia's top athletes have tarnished its successes in the 2014 Winter Olympics, which Russia hosted. And Real Madrid president Florentino Perez is ready to get rid of 3 players after the Clásico defeat. Perez was left furious after defeat left Real Madrid 14 points behind Barcelona and effectively out of the title race before Christmas. Reports say Karim Benzema, Casemiro and Mateo Kovacic may be shown the exit door. However, the club president said the club fans have to be proud of their team's achievements in 2017 despite the defeat. And that's it on Sports Info tonight. I'm Baron Tony Ranta. A very Merry Christmas to you, and it is back to Melinda.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanks Guatemala President Jimmy Morales for choosing to relocate their embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Join us again.